Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Big legal victory for Karmelo Anthony. He gets a new judge to preside over his motion for a new trial. Today is Nolan Wells' 19th birthday. Instead of celebrating, his family and friends are preparing for memorial service. NAACP General Counsel Kristin Clarke will join us to talk about the Wells as well as the Anthony case because they have joined the legal team there. Big upset last night in Florida when State Representative Angie Nixon defeated former National Security Council aide Alex Vindman in Tuesday's Florida Democratic U.S. Senate primary. She will join us to talk about her plan and how she can beat Republican Senator Ashley Moody in November. It's been 8 days since Gary, Indiana was hit by catastrophic storms that resulted in at least 7 fatalities and left thousands without power. We'll talk with a council member about how this power outage is highlighting the vulnerabilities of a predominantly Black, economically distressed city. The 2026 Joy and Justice Tour is underway. The co-founders, including LaTosha Brown, will join us to discuss how this Southern tour is uniting Black girls, women, and families. And Jeff Johnson is going to be joining us to talk about his new show on the Black Star Network, No Translation, it's focused on Black men. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. On the Black Star Network, let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, today will be the 19th birthday of Nolan Wells, yet he is dead. They are still investigating to find out what happened to this young Black man in Mississippi. His mother, Kristin, could only post a heartfelt message to him. She posted, "Today you are 19, No. There's so many things we want to say, but we will keep it simple. As we sit here and reflect on what an amazing kiddo you grew up to be, we can't help but to feel blessed, honored, proud, and most of all thankful. Thankful we were able to experience a glimpse of God's love in human form. Although you are no longer physically here with us, we will always celebrate you and the legacy you have left for us to protect. You have taught us so much about how life and how every day is a blessing and how we have to do better at just living in the moment. Thank you for being the best son, brother, grandson, nephew, and friend anyone could ever ask for. Thank you for bringing joy, laughter, and real happiness to us each and every day. You are truly our angel. Raising you has been an absolute joy and honor. You will be missed every second of every day, and you will never be forgotten. Our sweet sunshine. Happy heavenly 19th birthday, Nono. Remember, don't eat too much Oreo cake and hug grandma for us. We love you, our beloved son and brother. Love mom, dad, siblings, Louie, Ling, and family. Then she also said, keep negative comments to yourselves. Remember, Nolan is my and Elmore's son who we lost. Take prayer. Folks, later tonight, Nolan's family, friends, and supporters will hold a commemoration at the Greater St. John AME Church in Biloxi, Mississippi at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central with Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant, Senior Pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Georgia, as the main speaker. It's been 6 weeks since Nolan's body was discovered on July 6th in the water near Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi, 2 days after he had traveled there to a popular party spot by boat with a group of friends on the 4th of July. The family has still not gotten any answers as to how Nolan died. Last week, the Congressional Black Caucus called on the FBI to launch an independent investigation into Nolan's death. And this week, the NAACP joined the legal team representing the family of Wells. Joining us now is NAACP General Counsel Kristin Clarke. Kristin, glad to have you back on the show. Explain why y'all have joined the legal team.
We've joined the legal team here led by Ben Crump because the NAACP stands firmly with Nolan Wells' family in the quest for truth here. We need to understand why Nolan Wells is not with us today. And we also know at the NAACP that our country has a very long and sordid history when it comes to Black lives and the need for transparency about when Black lives are lost, when Black lives go missing, when Black people go missing, when Black people go murdered, when Black people die under suspicious circumstances. We don't know the facts here. But it is important that we get to the truth here. And so the NAACP is bringing the full might of our association to the push and quest for justice and truth.
The Jackson County DA, Angel Myers-McElrath, released a statement addressing an alleged lack of transparency from her office at the timing of the release of information in the case. She said, as district attorney, I do not have the same freedom to share information publicly that private individuals may have. For example, I do not have the freedom to release letters I've sent in this investigation, discuss witness cooperation, or the testing of evidence. I do not have the freedom to identify what information is verified and what information is false. I do not have the freedom to publicly adopt a narrative and choose one fact over the other, nor do I control the information released by private individuals who are not part of the investigative team. I cannot control whether private individuals release letters they have sent to me, just as I cannot prevent them from releasing letters I have sent to them. I cannot control which facts or bits of information are shared or whether that information is being shared in context, twisted, or misconstrued. Public commentary does not make the speaker transparent, just like exercising restraint consistent with the law does not make the process corrupt. The fact that something is said does not necessarily mean it's actually true. Prosecutors are held to the highest ethical standard under the law, as we should be. The people we serve deserve no less. I understand that a void is perceived when some are speaking publicly about a matter while others do not. I'll be stepping outside the bounds of the law if I were to fill that void and share information publicly. With all of the public pressure being placed on my office, filling the void would only serve to get pressure off of me. No one deserves better. There's no pressure that can be placed on me and no force that is greater than the weight of the oath I took and my responsibility to the people I serve. My obligation and commitment is to present the grand jury with all the evidence collected in this case in order for them to reach a decision based on a thorough investigation, complete evidence presentation, the actual truth, and an understanding of the law. I'm obligated to do so in keeping with the law and the rules of the court. On July 23, 2026, I released a recorded statement explaining the process and what the people of Jackson County should expect in this matter. There's nothing more to be shared at this time. I caution the public about assigning trustworthiness to things they read and see online. I also ask that rather than those individuals demanding that I step outside the bounds of the law and make public statements, we all step back, allow the process to work, and allow us to do the job we were elected to do. I stand firmly on the rule of law and my ethical obligations. That is what the people of Jackson County elected me to do. I will present the grand jury with a thorough, complete, and fair investigation into the death of Nolan Wells. Again, Jackson County DA Andrea Myers McElrath. I mean, so one of the things that she hasn't done is release the results of the autopsy. We've seen in other jurisdictions where it also was released. Do you believe that the DA's office could be more forthcoming to the public?
You know, what is missing here is more transparency. And I agree with the principles underlying a lot of what she said there. But what I don't think she recognizes is that this is a case of intense national interest, a case of intense public importance. And I do think that there is a degree of transparency owed to the public about your commitment to being thorough and comprehensive. Um, every prosecutor's office wants to make sure you're not doing anything that will jeopardize the investigation or compromise the process that you're undertaking to uncover the truth. But where you have a world that is watching what's happening here, I do think that the prosecutor could do more to assure the public that she's leaving no stone unturned and doing her job and committed to uncovering the truth and working expeditiously to do so. To me, putting that statement out there and reinforcing that message would help meet the public's need and desire for more transparency in this moment.
So we have the independent autopsy, and again, there are a lot of people who are talking, and I'm seeing folks opining in so many different ways. And I think, and to your point, in the absence of information, that's what's causing people to have all these different discussions.
Yeah, that's right. When I was at the Civil Rights Division, leading the division at the Justice Department, and we had a case of intense national interest, we would activate an office that has been dismantled under this administration, the Community Relations Service, to go out in the community, to hear people, to reinforce that the FBI is doing its job. This is a smaller county without the kinds of resources that once existed at the federal government. But in the absence of that, I do think this prosecutor should be and could be doing more to reinforce to the public her commitment to doing her job fairly, thoroughly, and expeditiously. That is the message that I think is needed to fill the void that so many people are feeling in this moment.
What do you say to the people? And I've seen these people say this, and I don't understand what the hell they're coming from. There are people out there who literally are criticizing Nolan Wells' parents for going to Chicago to the NAACP convention, going to Nashville for the National Urban League convention, going to Atlanta for the National Association of Black Journalists convention. And I got to remind those people, their job is to keep this on the front page, at the top of the website, to keep it at the top of the newscast. And so it is important that, yeah, you can call it pressure. The DA there cited pressure, but they want justice for their son. And we've seen other cases where they just sort of just float away. I agree with what the parents are doing.
I mean, I do too. And on top of this, they are a grieving family, right, that just buried their son. And for them to find the fortitude to still go out into the public and to remind people about their loving and peaceful son and to press and demand for truth and transparency into what happened here is not easy. And it takes a whole lot. And it's why the NAACP stands firmly by this family. We are providing moral support. We're providing legal support. We are providing investigative support. And we're reminding them at every turn that they are not alone and that we stand firmly behind them. I think more is needed in this moment in terms of compassion and empathy. at the end of the day, there is a young man who had his whole life ahead of him, a young man who aspired to uh, be a D1 student athlete. He was a shining light. He should be with us celebrating his 19th birthday with his family today, period, point blank.
In Texas, a judge who presided over the Karmelo Anthony trial has been removed from all post-conviction proceedings. Karmelo's attorneys appealed for Texas District Judge John Roach Jr. to be recused from the case, and San Antonio Judge Sid Harley granted the appeal. Administrative Judge Ray Wheelis appointed retired Kaufman County District Judge Michael Chitty to hear Thursday's motion for a retrial. Karmelo's attorneys sought Judge Roach's recusal due to his public comments regarding the trial and the conviction. During today's hearing, the defense presented an 18-minute video of an interview with Judge Roach in which he expressed his belief that the jury reached the correct verdict. In June, Karmelo was convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison for the 2025 stabbing death of Austin Metcalf at a track meet. His legal team contends that he acted in self-defense and has appealed the conviction. Kristin, y'all also have joined that team. Explain to people this process of having a judge recused based upon their comments.
Yeah, so here the NAACP hasn't joined the legal team, but the NAACP president, Gary Bledsoe.
Yeah, Gary Bledsoe is the president of the Texas State branch, Texas State Conference of the NAACP. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's right. And what we saw today is the defense team moved that this judge could not be fair or impartial in hearing the questions on appeal before the court. And I think this was the right outcome. And it, underscores the importance of prosecutors and judges being careful about what they're communicating to the public. But there is a moment, as we see in Nolan Wells' case, where you're not providing enough information. And here in Texas, we're seeing the judge provide more than what is necessary. But it's good that he spoke frankly, because it is clear that he did not have the capacity to be fair and independent and impartial in the important questions in the Karmelo Anthony case that are now before the court.
Last question for you, and you headed the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. It has to be unsettling to watch a DOJ literally don't give a hoot about black victims. I've never seen a DOJ this awful when it comes to serving all citizens. I've talked to numerous black defense attorneys for families who said they don't even think about calling the DOJ to get them to investigate. So the Congressional Black Caucus is calling on the FBI, hoping that they will launch an investigation. But how does it make you feel, someone who's serving that capacity, to watch just the callousness, if you will, and the attitude of whatever, we don't care?
Yeah, it's a dark moment, right? This Justice Department and the Civil Rights Division in particular has turned its back on Black people. But frankly, they've turned their back on America. They have abandoned the task of enforcing our federal civil rights laws. They have weaponized those laws to cause harm. And everyone in our country is more vulnerable and less safe because of the way in which we've seen Harmeet Dillon really turn this agency upside down. One thing that gives me hope in this moment is seeing the ways in which state attorneys general are stepping up to help fill the void, and the work that we're seeing the nonprofit civil rights organizations doing in this moment. So at the NAACP, we are doubling down on our work to protect voting rights, our work to promote a fair criminal justice system, our work to ensure equal access to jobs and to housing and to colleges and universities and more. So while this Justice Department turns its back on America, we should find hope in the institutions and the people are stepping up to fill those voids in this moment.
Indeed, indeed.
Standing
Yep.
with the Nolan Wells family is one example of that.
Absolutely. Real quick questions from my panel. Robert Patillo, civil rights attorney at the Patillo Law Firm out of Atlanta. Robert, go.
Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I want you to talk a little bit about what not having an active Justice Department, active Civil Rights Division currently in this administration means for civil rights, means for police brutality, means for these investigative purposes, because the federal government has traditionally been that backstop for Black America when we cannot get justice on the local level. What does it mean for regular people to understand that this is no longer what the federal government concentrates on?
Yeah, we've lost an important avenue for ensuring justice and accountability. Uh, Fighting police misconduct, fighting hate crimes were some of the highest priorities during my time leading the Civil Rights Division. These are some of the toughest cases out there. These are cases that sometimes are about life and death. What we have seen historically is that at the local and state level, there isn't always the same level of expertise and resources and political will to do these cases. So, in a moment, we are without an important avenue for seeking justice. But it is why we should draw some comfort in the ways in which state AGs like Tish James in New York and Keith Ellison in Minnesota and Nick Brown in Washington and Kwame Raoul in Illinois. The ways in which our state AGs are stepping up to fill that void and our civil rights organizations should give us some comfort in this perilous moment that we're in.
Representative Derek Jackson, state representative from Georgia. Derek, go.
You know, I always appreciate the work you did in the DOJ and what you continue to do. But I want to come back to the point of transparency. You know, as a legislator, we always ask for transparency in the process and everything that we do. And transparency is not an option. But the folks down in Mississippi continue to say, let the local investigation play out. And we've seen this playbook over and over and over again, where this process continue to have dead ends. The families never get the justice they deserve. We continue to have more questions than answers, and we still see more deaths in Mississippi. Another young lady was just found hung, hanging from a tree. So what can we do as a legislators in all of 50 of these states demand for local investigations? Here in Georgia, we got the GBI. What can we do to demand transparency so that way these things can, just stop?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that we continue to use our voices to demand that our taxpayer-funded agencies, so whether they are local prosecutor offices, state prosecutor offices, and even this federal government, despite its track record, it's important that we keep the pressure on them. There's a startling statistic from the Centers for Disease Control from 2022, finding that Black males experience the highest rate of deaths classified as being of undetermined intent among males. So with respect to Nolan Wells, we can't sit on our hands or stand by idly. We need to keep the pressure on and not allow memories to fade or that pressure to let up. It's important that we hold these entities accountable. They are there to serve the people. And so I thank you for the work that you're doing as a lawmaker to keep that pressure on.
Rebecca Carruthers, President and CEO of Fair Election Center.
Thank you. I lead a national voting rights organization. Next week is the anniversary of the March in Washington. What is the future of the framework for civil rights in this country?
Yeah, what a great question. Well, voting rights needs to be and remain at the center of our agenda. Thank you for your work. Right now, the number one task is making sure that our communities are prepared to turn out in full force this midterm election cycle. Despite everything that this administration is doing to discourage and deter our communities from participating, we need to make sure that folks are turning out at high numbers this election cycle so that we can begin to correct the course that we're on in this country. And in terms of reforms with respect to voting rights, now is the time for us to think about championing things like state voting rights acts. If and when the opportunity presents itself, we need to be ready to move forward with the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And because so much of what we face in this country right now is not just harm happening at the hands of this administration, but harm coming from a very hostile United States Supreme Court, I do think that pushing for and demanding Supreme Court reform needs to be a part of our agenda and a part of the civil rights discourse that we're having in our country right now. How do we restore fairness and independence to the court? Ethics reforms, term limits. We need our nation's highest court to return to a place of being a fair institution that can hear the civil rights cases that come before it.
All right, then. Kristin, Clarke, I certainly appreciate it. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. Big win last night. Lots of elections taking place in Florida, Wyoming, and Alaska. Everybody today is talking about Florida Representative Angie Nixon beating a well-funded opponent. She'll join us next right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games, and people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
Watching Martin Unfiltered.
I've told y'all numerous times on this show, votes always beats money. You can throw a lot of money at something, but it don't mean you're guaranteed to win. So when people tell me my vote doesn't matter, I tell them, you're wrong. You can beat millionaires. You can beat billionaires. Last night in Florida, in the United States Senate race on the Democratic side, Florida State Representative Angie Nixon crushed Alex Vindman. She won 56% of the vote to his 43.9%. Y'all, he raised some $16 million. She barely raised $1 million. But when you focus on the ground game, and when you touch voters who other people have ignored, then you can actually win. Joining us right now is Florida Representative Angie Nixon. Glad to have you back on the show. I know folks have been blowing you up. You've been doing media all day. You were preaching and teaching the clueless folks at MS Now who didn't understand. You had to sit here and correct Gayle King, assuming you were running with.
You saw that?
Baby, I see everything. You had to let her know. I don't know where you got that from. You were educating the folks on CNN, and it's amazing. Now, first I got to ask you this here. Did any of those folk have you on before the election?
You already know the answer to that.
I mean, no, I just had to ask the question just to put it on the record, because this is the perfect example of what I always talk about. You've been on this show numerous times, and I keep telling folk, especially some other black folk, even other candidates, y'all can keep running to these mainstream shows, but there ain't no guarantee you're going to do well in the election. You got to go where the people are. And so I just found it hilarious how your phone been blowing up all day from folk who were never giving you the time of day.
Roland, it is, it's been a lot. It's been a whole lot of folks who have been calling and texting. But look, we knew we were going to win. We just did not expect to win this much. But as someone who is a community organizer and a former union organizer, we know what it takes to actually win. And we know what people care about. Having had conversations with tens of thousands of people as I traveled across the state of Florida, even to the point where a tire split and I had to change my tire on the side of the road. I just know that it took grit for us to win this race, but we were able to pull it off.
So I saw this, somebody sent me the text, and they were looking at the numbers, and they talked about Democratic Socialists of America candidates who have won other places, and they typically were winning in places with highly educated voters. And the text said, you won areas where they were not by some plus 30 points. What that says is you were touching the issues that regular, ordinary folk who often are ignored in campaigns were caring about, and they responded by coming out and voting.
Correct. And so I think it's important to highlight that this was all about good old grassroots organizing. And so I have been an organizer for nearly 2 decades here in the state of Florida, and I've built up a coalition all across the state of Florida. I don't know why people seem to forget that I have led statewide organizations working to build power in low-income and hard-working communities for nearly 2 decades.
Angie, they didn't forget. Angie, they didn't forget. These national people ain't read no bio. See, I'm telling you. I spent 6 years at CNN, and it used to piss me off when all of a sudden they'll be like, "Oh my God, let's get so and so on." I'm like, "Yeah, but you weren't talking their ass before the election because they weren't paying attention." Because the reality is, national media went, "Oh, Alex Vindman worked in the White House. Got all these endorsements. PACs are backing him. The establishment is backing him. He's raised $16 million. He's gonna crush this little black woman who can't even raise more than $1 million." I'm telling you, that's what they were thinking.
No, I totally believe you. But you know what? We had a great message, and Ashley Moody and Donald Trump, they're so out of touch. And we were able to really talk about the issues that people cared about. The fact that they were working less and less and less and making more money and getting richer. And meanwhile, hardworking everyday people were working more and still struggling just to stay ahead. And so the people across the state of Florida, across this country, they are tired of the status quo. They are tired of the same old thing. They are tired of politicians that are only looking out for their billionaire friends and family and these corrupt corporations and campaign donors. They're ready for change and they trust me, right? Like I have been doing the work for, again, nearly 2 decades. And so the people in the state of Florida trust me. I ran up numbers in Duval County where I'm from, 80%. I'm so happy that my county turned out for me. It was amazing.
But that right there, what you just said, and I have been yelling and screaming this for years, and I have been saying, where there are lots of black people, our minimum turnout needs to be 70%. We've got to be, to counter other, we've got to be turning out at 70, 75, 80, 85%, because if you look at raw numbers, in terms of this, and in fact, somebody actually posted this, a brother posted this on Twitter, and he said the math is pretty simple. There are 3.9 million black Floridians. 2.7 million are voting age eligible. Only 1.6 million are registered to vote. Yesterday, less than 400,000 black people voted. If the Dems want to win in Florida, they need to invest in black coalition building. The primary is now over. And the reality is you've got the rest of August, September, October to activate those folks. But it's not just them. It's white folks, it's Latinos, it's Asian Americans, and others. And this is what I've been saying to our people. We can't just sit here and say, well, you know, when we going to get somebody who's speaking my language? You're speaking the language, but folk are also going to do their part and register and vote.
Exactly. We need them to register and vote. We need more investment here in the state of Florida. Folks like to say that the state of Florida is red. It is not red. There's been a huge divestment in our state ever since a black man got too close to the governor's mansion for them. And so it's such a shame that we have witnessed that when normally the other side, when they would get that close, they would then, they would go all in at the next election. And so we have the second largest black population here in the country, in the state of Florida. And so we need people to really, again, like you said, invest in the state, make sure they're registering people to vote, talking to voters, and all of the things. Look, we are going to do our part as a campaign.
Yep.
I'm going to work hard. We have raised the largest amount of money we've ever raised in 24 hours. We'll release those numbers early in the morning, but folks are ready and they're excited about what we have to offer. And I'm super excited as well.
I want to give those deadlines, y'all, right now. Go to my iPad. October 5th is the deadline to register to vote or change your party affiliation. October 22nd is the deadline to request vote by mail ballots. And early voting, the mandatory early voting period is October 24th through October 31st. I saw this clip on CBS, and there was actually a brother who was at Luther Campbell's watch night party. He ran for Congress. He came in last. Debbie Wasserman Schultz won that race, and to all the black candidates in that race, if y'all had one black candidate, maybe the brother or sister would have won. Considering you look at the votes total, it would have beat Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That's another conversation. But play this, and Angie, I want you to respond to this, because this, I believe, is something that you're going to have to contend with, and other folks across the country. Go.
You are a registered voter.
Yes, ma'am.
What county?
Yes, ma'am.
Which county?
Broward County.
Why didn't you vote? And you told us earlier just now that you did not vote today.
I did not vote, no more.
Why didn't you vote today?
Because I might be misinformed on the importance of this vote. You get what I'm saying? The vote is always about the presidency, about the higher end people who are every 4 years, but we know that every 2 years, every 2 years or 6 years, that it's another important vote that needs to go on, and we're just not informed about it. We're not pushed to go there. We're not taught to go for that vote.
What would it take to get you to show up and vote? Because you're at a Luther Campbell election night party, so you knew he was running for office.
I understand that is very true, but at the same time, the importance of that vote is not emphasized in our communities. You get what I'm saying? We're emphasized to go and vote for the president, Obama. Everybody show up for the presidency. Nobody really shows up for these votes because midterms. That's what the name of the midterm vote, because it's just the midterms. Nobody sees it as an important time to vote.
Your first name?
Arthur.
Your last name, Arthur?
Harden.
Thank you.
So Angie, Arthur knew about the election, still didn't vote, and he showed up at the watch party. But the reality is, that is something. We see a lower turnout in midterms and presidential, and that's also because so much attention and money is in presidential races. What are you telling your team to speak to the authors of the world in Florida?
What we're telling people to do is to actually just go out and have conversations with them. What we are doing is meeting people where they are, and especially at fun spots, also hosting different types of mutual aid events where people can come, and when they need services and need to be connected to resources, we're letting them know that they're very circumstanced. They're in that situation because of who's in office or who's not in office. And look, they have done us a grave injustice, and they have designed it to be this way. They don't want us to vote. They want us working harder than ever and feeling like nothing's going to change. And so it is going to be up to us to really just organize harder and stronger and get louder about what's happening and let people know that everything that happens and everything that we do is directly affected and impacted by who's in office. And so it's going to take some time, but we can't give up. Again, I'm an organizer, been one for nearly 2 decades. And we saw a shift with our election. I have young people coming up to me saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is my first time voting. And also I've seen some older, some millennials come up to me as well, and that's because I'm speaking their language. I went to Duval Day in Jacksonville that was held by Little Duval.
Oh yeah.
And having conversations and really organizing out there as well. So we just got to go meet people where they are, and we can actually change this.
And I'm sure Little Duval implies are gonna be like, all right, what can we do to help you? Come on now, I know you're already talking to them, telling them, I need y'all to get in the game.
I need your help a little bit to go reach out to them. So we need to have like a multi-touch point strategy. So please reach out to them for me, Roland.
Oh, that ain't a problem. I'll text. Matter of fact, let me go ahead. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second right here.
Yes, please do that. I am an organizer. Go ahead and get it out of the way now.
That's right. Go ahead. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
This is too funny.
Yo, Lil Duval, this is Roland Martin. I'm live on my show right now, and I'm talking to Florida Representative Angie Nixon. And she said she went to your Duval Day. She won last night. She said she gonna need your help to galvanize black voters. And so she wants to hear from you. So hit me back if you want me to send her your phone number. But she said she gonna need you, Plies, and all these other rappers and entertainers in Florida to be activated for this election to elect a black United States Senator in Florida, the first in history. So let me know, bro. All right, let me send it to him right now.
I appreciate you.
Oh, I don't wait. That's a waste of my time. I don't wait. I got another question, but I'm gonna go to my panel. Rebecca, you first.
Congratulations on your win last night. I campaigned in Florida 2008 and 2016. I want to hear you talk more about the importance of organizing and building an inclusive coalition, because you won in the suburbs, you won in the cities, you won in least educated areas, and you won in areas where people are also educated. So let's talk about what that coalition means and how you build it.
Yeah, for sure. So look, Organized people will beat big money each and every day of the week. And that's what happened. And so, I mean, like, that's what they used to do with the civil rights movement. That's what they did with the labor movement. That's what they did with women's rights movement. And we were successful. And one of the reasons, like, we really need to get big money out of politics is so that hardworking everyday people could get to shape what their communities look like and what their economies look like. And what we are telling people is just that. And that is what's getting them excited and motivated, because they realize that, yeah, you know what? The people who are running the show, they don't care anything about us. They are only trying to exploit us for our labor, and they are continually getting richer off of our backs. And so we've seen it resonate with people. And I think that's why some of the more progressive candidates are winning across the state of Florida, because they are not the state of Florida, but the entire country, but because they are talking to and speaking to the issues that everyday people care about.
All right. Robert.
Thank you so much for everything that you've done so far, and also just the fact that you were able to prove the Washington, D.C. insiders wrong, and that people what you know community, that's still important. Apparently, sometimes the DNC and the Washington insiders forget you actually need to know the people that you want to vote for you. One thing we saw in Kamala's race in 2024 was this division between African-American blacks, Caribbean black, etc. And we're seeing more efforts from groups like FBA and AIDOS to drive a wedge between different communities of African Americans. What would be your message to bring all these groups together around one candidate so that we can actually move forward in a clear agenda? As Roland said, Deborah Wasserman Schultz won because you had a congressional district where the black vote got split between 4 people. But if they unified, then you can have one voice going forward.
Yeah, thank you for that question. My message is very clear. It is that we're stronger together. We can't continue to allow these people to divide us, because that is profitable for them. And it's in regards to the different folks in the diaspora, if they had competing interests. But then also, I'll take it a step further when it comes to like progressives versus establishment versus moderates versus liberals, or Republicans versus Democrats, right? We, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, and that's to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. And when we allow this division to happen, it keeps our eyes off the fact that the people who are funding the campaign coffers of these people that are passing this legislation to cut our Social Security systems, our Social Security benefits, also failing to extend the ACA subsidies, is only profiting those companies and corporations. I mean, just think about it. When they fail to extend the ACA subsidies this past year, that caused healthcare premium costs to go up. It also caused, here in the state of Florida, nearly 300,000 people to lose healthcare access in the form of the Affordable Care Act. Now, when those people decide that they need to go to the emergency room, it's going to be more expensive because of that if they don't have health insurance. And oftentimes people who don't have health insurance, they don't have primary care providers, so they do use the emergency room as their primary care. And so that is expensive, and the government winds up paying that. And guess who's profiting from that though, right? These companies, these hospitals, and that type of stuff. And so it is very important for us to not allow this division to happen, because it keeps our eyes off of what they're doing. And that's basically them trying to keep us down so that they can make more money.
Derek?
Angie, congratulations. Listen, I am so proud of you because one of the things that you demonstrated, you didn't allow for all these labels to put you in a box. They called you young. They called you inexperienced. They called you a socialist. They called you a commie. They called you everything but a child of God, right? But you continue to tell your story. And one of the things I enjoyed the most, that you didn't allow for them just to put you in the DSA box or any other kind of box. You said, no, I'm fighting for Medicare for all. I'm fighting for free child care. You are, were a single mother. You're focused on taxing the rich. You're talking about abolishing ICE. But what got you here now You have 74 days left to November 3rd. In fact, it's even less than that, right? If you going back to the screen that Roland put up, early voting start. What are you going to do to stay focused? Because now the ammunition is going to be on you, right? I mean, and you don't have to share all your secrets. I'm a retired naval officer. I understand. You don't have to give us your playbook. But they're going to come after you hard now, right? So what can we do? I'm right here in Georgia. We got our own race, and not to make your race national, right? Because you run for United States Senate, everybody want to nationalize the race, and we know politics are local. What are you going to do to help you get to November 3rd in the most successful manner? Because now the game has changed going from the general election.
For sure. I really don't think the game has changed, right? I think we just expand who we would talk to, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was more pointed and a smaller group of people because we had a smaller win number, and we just expanded. And also in regards to them trying to pigeonhole me into one box, right? I mean, I talk to it and head on, and I run to the questions, the comments, the concerns, and I let people know at the end of the day, right? Like, the platform that you are trying to talk trash about, right, or try to demonize is actually something that you feel in the community really would benefit from. And so we try to break it down that way, and it's a little bit of education at the same time. But what is going to get people out to the polls is someone who is aspirational and who's able to motivate people to see themselves in this new 250 years of our nation's time here, right? And so that is what people are saying to me as I'm having conversations, as well as when I have my rallies. They come up to me saying that I left them inspired and that I was unapologetic and authentically myself. And they now see themselves how I kind of weave in just the values, right? They deserve the right to have access to healthcare. They deserve the right to have access to quality public schools, as well as housing. And so when we keep hitting that, right, and letting them know that they deserve these things, like a light bulb turns on, and they're like, you know what, you're actually right, because I'm working harder than ever and I've been getting screwed. So maybe we should try to do this other thing. And they're getting excited about it. And we know we're going to shock the country November 3rd. I don't know how big of a win we're going to get, but I know we're going to win just like we won on last night.
Have you heard from Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer or Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who leads the Democratic City Congressional Committee, or the other ones, of course, that plow resources into races? Have you heard from them at all?
So I have not heard from them. We are hearing that there may be a call. I have heard from a few senators. I don't necessarily want to share their names.
Understand.
One is progressive and one is a Black woman. And so, those are who we heard from. And I'm so honored that they reached out. And I'm excited. And look, at the end of the day, I'm a Black woman. I have actually been in the same situation before. I went against an establishment candidate previously when I ran for state rep. I was outspent 5-1. I did it while I was 9 months pregnant, having COVID, and I'm not pregnant right now, don't have COVID, so I'm working really, really hard. And Black women, we work hard anyway, and I operate like a single mom. I know how to make money stretch. I was a single mom for 12 years. And so I take care of the money and the donations that people get me. But I know what's at stake, Roland. I know what's at stake. I have 5 kids. Me and my husband have a blended family. And what is at stake is their future and their present. They deserve so much more than what they've been getting. And I'm going to fight like hell to make sure that I win so that I can help provide them that when I become their next United States Senator.
A couple of things. One, I'm going to play a video, and I want to get your response. I have some issues with what I heard, but let's also make sure you got fresh new tires, so we ain't got to be changing tires while we campaigning. I want to play this. I saw this last night, and I was like, he needs to learn how to answer this question. But let me just play it.
Is this a state, Florida, that can elect you as governor, but also elect progressive Angie Nixon for the U.S. Senate at the same time?
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Look, I reject the DSA. I reject socialism. I'm a capitalist, and I think capitalism provides the greatest amount of economic mobility. I have been with Angie on the trail, and I'll tell you this, she's a fighter. She leaves it all on the field. She goes in every room talking about what I talk about. Can we improve your access to housing, affordable housing, to health care? Do you know where to educate your kids? What is it that government can do where the private sector is unable to improve your life? Angie's out there fighting for those same values. I think she and I have a very different approach to this. But look, I reject socialism. I'm a capitalist. We'll see how Florida's voters sort that out in November.
All right, so for me, now, of course, Newsbusters, a right-wing outfit, are pushing that out. Frankly, if I'm David Jolly, he needs to understand that there's a different way you can answer that question. I would have answered that question, and frankly, I would have all the stuff he said about you out there campaigning, and if I was him, I would have said, listen, my focus is squarely on Byron Donalds and defeating him. Don't fall for the trap. I don't know why these damn Democrats always fall for the easy media trap. You got to see that coming, but they never learn. So but the bottom line is, and same thing. Listen, you got to run your race. You're running against this MAGA pick from Donald Trump. But I wish these Democrats would just learn to pay attention and understand and look at the numbers. There are people who you activated, he don't touch. He's going to need your people for him to also win.
Yeah. So yes, you are exactly right. And I like to think about it and talk about it as I am a part of the Democratic Party. I have been a member of the Democratic Party since my entire adult life. And I also, some people may have stated that I was a part of the establishment. I was a vice chair of the Duval Democratic Executive Committee. I also served as the field director and political director for the Florida Democratic Party. And I believe that the Democratic Party is a very big tent and all are welcome, right? And so even as a member of the Democratic Party, there are some things that I am not okay with in regards to the platform. I am not a corporate Dem. I don't accept money from corporate PACs. I don't accept money from AIPAC, but that is okay, right? That's okay for me to still be a part of the Democratic Party. People are different. And so at the end of the day, though, the common thread is the basic rights that we all believe in, which are, again, healthcare, housing, education, the right to just be prosperous and want to be safe, right? And so that's what will make us great and actually be able to win this election when we speak to those issues. And so, I am not going to talk down about anyone on my slate, my Democratic slate. I am going to talk about the issues that transcend across whatever our platforms are, and that's how we're going to win.
Yeah, Democrats didn't learn how to win. Last thing, check your phone.
Uh-oh. Let me see. Okay. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. That's what I'm talking about. We did some live organizing, y'all, and I appreciate Mr. Roland Martin for coming through. And, I would never get this on MS Now. I would never get this on CBS, so I appreciate this very much.
And just for everybody who's at home watching, y'all heard me leave that voice note for Lil Duval, and he responded, give her my number. So, Representative Dixon, you now have Lil Duval's cell phone.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And I have an old number for Plies. I'm working on a new number, so we'll work that out too. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And don't be surprised when you see us on the road doing something on the road in Florida.
Hey, let's do it.
All right. Thanks so much. Congratulations on last night.
Thank you. Bye.
Folks, going to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about the devastation in Gary, Indiana. They were devastated by storms that blew through the Midwest. People without power, without food. And frankly, they're not getting the help from Republican governor in that state. We'll talk to a city council member next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Be sure to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Again, why do you support this show? Because what you just saw, y'all, you ain't gonna, Angie said it, that ain't gonna happen on CNN, MS9, and the rest of these networks. We center our people. We cover the stuff that matters to you. And so that's what's critically important. And so join our Bring the Funk fan club. Let me thank, I just literally during the show, let's see here, Karen Jones, who's a veteran. She sent me she gave us a contribution. She said, greetings, Roland. Thank you for all that you are doing and will continue to do for our people. And so I appreciate that. If y'all want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's for credit cards as well. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered. That's what Karen Jones gave. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games, and people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
Hello, we're the Critter Fixers. I'm Dr. Bernard Hodges.
And I'm Dr. Terrence Ferguson.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, in Gary, Indiana, buildings and homes are still without power 1 week after a historic tornado blew through the state. As of this morning, the local utility provider, NIPSCO, has restored power to 282,000 customers, but more than 83,000 businesses and homes remain in the dark due to the storm that tore across northwest Indiana on August 11th, packing winds near 100 miles an hour. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, approximately 51,600 to 52,000 black residents live in the city, making up roughly 76% of Gary's total population. NIPSCO expects to restore 100% of power by Friday, but it's not just power, it's also food and other needs. Joining us right now is Gary Councilman at Large, Miles Tolliver. Councilman, glad to have you on the show. This has been almost 8 days. That is, listen, that's a lot of people to deal with. Listen, I'm from Houston. I've lived through various hurricanes. I've actually lived through 3 hurricanes, knocking our power for almost 2 to 3 weeks. That is not a good thing when you talk about in this heat.
Absolutely, absolutely. I first want to thank you for bringing attention to Gary, Indiana, and allowing for me to be on. Please excuse my attire. It's been all hands on deck at our shelter here in the great city of Gary, Indiana, where we are feeding residents around the clock and making sure they have the necessities that they need during the displacement at this time.
What are your needs? What do you need for people who are watching and listening?
Well, to be frank with you, Roland, in full transparency, our residents need they need help when it comes to our seniors that are on the 3rd floor, that don't have power, that haven't been down since Tuesday. We've been running meals up to them every day around the clock. I'm grateful that NIPSCO has restored some of our senior citizen buildings, but at this time, we just need really just packs where we can get things of shampoo, toothpaste, any type of hygiene things, and any supplies that we can get for cleaning out the houses at this time.
Okay, so if folks want to support, where are they sending the stuff to? Who's coordinating it where they can actually, let's say there are people who have vehicles or trucks or things along those lines, where can they drive stuff to?
So if they want to bring something, they can bring it down here to Gary City Hall. We will have somebody here. Again, they've been working around the clock. I want to definitely be grateful to our administration. They have been working around the clock, and you can drop those items off here. Please check our Facebook, as we will be bringing up some more information where we can give donations and things of that sort when it comes to money and anything else.
What assistance are y'all getting from the state? Are you getting any assistance from FEMA?
So FEMA, Congressman Mervan is actually getting the information out from FEMA right now, so we can be get more clarity on that issue. He is being giving us as much information at this time, but we haven't got all the information from FEMA yet. But it is coming, and we're just waiting on that. I want to tell you too, Roland, man, when this storm came in on August 11th, we assessed about over 2,000 damaged sites. But we have been trying to clear out the streets. We have been getting help from electric companies throughout the country, and we're grateful for that. But we just boots on the ground, Roland. My people are really hurting at this moment.
I just want to be clear. It's been 8 days that you have not heard directly from FEMA. And normally what happens, of course, the governor declares a disaster zone. First of all, has that happened?
Yes, the governor has made it a disaster zone. He did a disaster zone for the whole state of Indiana because we do have storms that are upward towards Indianapolis.
Gotcha. But FEMA has not been in even with that distinction, they have not been in contact with the city.
So I believe they've been in contact with the city, Roland, but we don't have all the information. We just rolled out information today with our briefing, but I don't have all the clear. I don't have all the clear answers right now. But when I do get that information out, I would definitely give it out to my constituents. I'm only getting bits and pieces at this time.
Gotcha. Questions from our panel. Derek, you first.
Miles, I salute you all, and my prayers are with you all. But I'm just curious, when we prepare for both disasters, Mother Nature, tornadoes, hurricanes, etc., do you all get support from neighboring states as well? Do they respond? Do they engage? Because I know down here in the Southeast, where we get a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornadoes, we have something in place where neighboring states like Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, etc., will come to the aid of Georgia. Do y'all have something like that in that area?
Not to my recollection. I don't know of any of those type of partnerships at this time. But I will tell you that this disaster is something I've never seen in my lifetime in 35 years. It's a generational storm. It's something definitely new to all of us. And I know that moving forward, me and my colleagues and the mayor administration, we are definitely going to put some things in place so that our residents can be reassured that we won't be put in a place like this again.
Rebecca?
What does it look like for different communities, especially different Black folks across the country, to provide some type of mutual aid to assist where government isn't properly assisting your community right now?
I would just tell them to reach out to city officials and reach out, and then we would let them know where those necessities can be used at. And we will, have a strong form of communication so that we can definitely get the materials needed for our citizens.
Robert?
So what can be done from a structural level? I know many cities have older areas that are very susceptible to natural disasters. What can be done from a coding and regulatory aspect to ameliorate the possibility of this happening again in the future?
Well, I think that with our electric company, they need to assess the whole city as a whole and to see which infrastructure is outdated and to see, to also, knock down the blight. We have a lot of wooded areas to make sure the trees are not by the lines and just to make sure that everything is up to code. Again, full transparency. I've looked at other communities around the area. Their infrastructure is a lot better shape than ours is. One of the questions that I did raise today with NIPSCO is, hey, when was the last assessment done? What are we doing for residents that are going to be displaced for now? It's 8 days, but you talked about earlier, Roland, about it being Friday. We might not have power until next Friday. And that's the thing. So when they talk about the 90 to 100% being done by Friday, that's not the case.
Wow. That is certainly not good. Again, give the information, any phone numbers or anything for the audience who are watching and listening, how they can support the residents of Gary, Indiana.
So I would like them to, again, just DM the City of Gary government Facebook page. They can also call me on my direct line. I don't have a problem giving it out. It's 219-616-4181. Again, 219-616-4181. And then I will be able to handle those calls and make sure that we get everything we need for our citizens.
All right, then. Councilman Talbot, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, Bishop William Barber, the Parish of the Breach, is going to be launching a national voter mobilization tour. It'll be taken all around the country. This week, they were in North Carolina speaking out against a House bill that the governor vetoed, pressing legislators to not override that veto. That is an absolute voter suppression bill. He sent us this video here of their actions this week. Roll it.
Got to push folks to love because that hate is going to create an energy that's going to go somewhere. And if it doesn't go to love, it will go to destruction. And that destruction will end up killing us all.
We want to remember folk that have been shot, remembering Alex, and Sister Good, and all of the folk that have died that we don't even know about.
I bring you greetings from the North Carolina Council of Churches because we stand with you today. Amen. Because we love strong public education. People.
Not loving immigrants would mean that you do not love yourself. One of the ways to love forward is loving immigrants. The cruel and deadly policies by people in our state and federal government are making us feel very tired. We are so tired of being scared for our lives. We are tired of being treated as disposable. We all have to promise to fight for our voting rights so we can love our neighbors. We have to vote for love.
Something's happening, y'all. People are coming together over all different kinds of lines.
Rebecca, Bishop Barber called this the 100 Days, 1,000 Marchers Initiative. The goal is to touch and reach and register 5 million low-income, low-wage, infrequent voters. And what he says is like, listen, we've done marches, we've done protests. He said, now it must be targeted. Meaning, if you're going to call for a march, call for the march to drive them to register, to drive them to the polls, because at the end of the day, that's really where we have to be. We are inside of that 100 days. They announced this really about 20 some odd days ago. And so now this is where we have to be fixated on what are the voter registration deadlines in every single state, especially where lots of black folks are. And then do they have early voting? And then let's drive folks there and tell folks, don't wait for Election Day, vote early.
Roland, we're 77 days out from Election Day, and we are approximately 20-ish days. Well, sorry, we're about maybe 30-ish days from when early voting starts in certain jurisdictions. I'm going to plug fairelectioncenter.org. We have state guides. You could go to our website, you could click on the state that's on the map, or you could look for our guides. And all of our guides are for all 50 states plus the District of Columbia. The voter guides tell you everything that you need to know in terms of dates, information on how to properly register the vote, when early voting can start in your jurisdiction. But it's a one place that you can go that's accurate information. My policy counsel, my litigation counsel, they update this every single year. They update it after every legislative session, after every court case that impacts elections. We're here to make sure that there's reliable information, because we're hearing a lot of people say, well, I just don't know. Well, guess what? There's resources. You can Google, you can search. You can also go to reputable websites like fairelectioncenter.org and find this information.
The thing for me, Robert, is, and I keep saying this, votes beats money. And for people out there who are pissed off with what's happening with this white nationalist agenda in Washington, D.C., with this attack on African Americans, these people can be beaten. They can be beaten in Ohio. Sherrod Brown could win there, the former United States Senator. We can beat them in North Carolina. Roy Cooper becomes United States Senator. You hold the seat there in Georgia with Ossoff. You've got Al Said in Michigan. You've got Tallarico running against Paxton in Texas. You've got Nixon against Moody here in Florida. And so we could be looking at, of course, you got Patola. She's there running in Alaska. You even got, listen, the Democrat candidate is leading in Iowa and in Maine. This, for me, Robert, this ain't no Democrat-Republican thing. This is our thing. And the bottom line is the Republican Donald Trump MAGA agenda has absolutely been devastating to black people. And the only way to stop them is to vote any MAGA Republican Trump-loving person out of office.
Look, this is what people have to realize. Stop listening to Harry Enton. Stop listening to Steve Kornacki. Stop listening to Chris Cillizza. Stop listening to Chuck Todd. Stop listening to any of the Washington, D.C. insider political prognosticators who will say, well, Trump is at 33% and no president has ever lost to Mitt or maintained the House and the Senate historically, etc. That does not matter. We're dealing with a Republican Party that has been rigging the election since they got back into power. They've been spending the last half decade overtaking state houses, changing state voting laws. They've been redistricting. They've been gerrymandering districts. You have Donald Trump even saying he's going to use the world's 15th largest military by budget, ICE, his secret police, to go and quote unquote monitor polling locations this fall. We're talking about confiscating ballots, court challenges. These votes are not going to go quietly into the night. Just 2 weeks ago, Elon Musk said he's going to be spending upwards of $500 million on midterm election races. These folks are preparing to steal this election, and the only thing that can beat that is massive turnout numbers. The rules have been changed across the board. The die is cast to what we're playing by. We're playing from a slanted deck. We're playing three-card Monte in Times Square in the 80s. There's no way this is going to be a fair election. But if we turn out in Obama 2012 numbers, if we turn out in Biden 2020 numbers, then understand that if they are able to maintain power and solidify the Trump gains thus far, we will not get this country back for a century. And the Democratic Party has to pay attention, get out of their own way, stop running these same old policies and same old people, understand what the wave is, and this is bigger than any special interest, this is bigger than any lobbyist. This is about whether or not we will have a nation going forward, and that happens this November.
Derek, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if Robert was finished because he was preaching. Listen, I think we got to connect the dots, though, y'all. I mean, it's great that we march and all these things, but we got to make sure that the vernacular is something that resonates. To say we need to vote to save a democracy. Well, what is democracy? We just watched in the previous segment, Roland. The brother was at a watch party and he was saying, "Hey, I didn't vote." That we got to connect the dots. We got to say, it's great that we can party and we can rally, but here's the reason why we vote every year. I vote every year, not every 2 years, not every 4 years, every year, because I'm either voting for mayor, city council, county commissioner, sheriff, coroner, judges, special elections. We got to educate and connect the dots. And then last but not least, Roland, I think we got to bring this home. Just this year, 4 Black individuals found hanging from a tree. And when we ask for our government, federal and state and local governments to respond and they don't, we got to remind them that Kyle Bassingen in Cobb County can't vote because this 21-year-old student was found hanging from a tree. We got to say Jelani Umba Nitsa in Charlotte, North Carolina, a 16-year-old, can't vote because she's dead. Nicole Miller in Miami-Dade County, 27-year-old found hanging from a tree. Just a few weeks ago, right here, August 3rd, in Mississippi, Tasia Fortin, 29-year-old mother of 4, found hanging from a tree in Jackson, Mississippi, can't vote because she's dead. We got to make this real to folks.
Right,
and not
right.
make this stage democracy, and that's the reason, and our ancestors vote, that's the reason why we need to vote. We got to make it real to people and connect the dots.
Yep.
Because the worst thing for our population right now is low voter turnout.
Yep. Look, I always say, voters, shut the hell up. That's my position. Hey, y'all, before I go to our next segment, my goodness, y'all, these Republicans are truly losing their minds, y'all, after Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff took a shot at Donald Trump and his, well, let's just say what people are calling her, his aide. So, not sure what he's aiding him with. She writes his tweets, but this is the Ossoff comment that has set MAGA off.
And there's something uniquely despicable about lying a nation into war. Treating citizens as fools and those who serve as pawns. Aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, they've now been at sea for 240 plus days without a port call. It's a Navy record. And still they serve with excellence. And still they serve with excellence. God bless the sailors, Marines, aviators, and all aboard the United States ship Abraham Lincoln. See, they don't expect luxury. They'll endure hardship. But they deserve competent leaders who send them into combat only when necessary, and with decisive clarity of purpose, not fools who lie about the purpose and progress of war. And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
So he referenced Natalie. Well, Scott Jennings, Donald Trump's resident ass kisser at CNN, well, let's just say he was clutching his pearls.
It's despicable.
Ashley?
I mean, all this sort of fake outrage just really infuriates.
It's not fake, I can assure you.
It is. I mean,
is not
especially
fake.
when the president.
You don't put words in my mouth. It's not fake.
She
No,
let
but you're
you
putting
speak.
words in
And she said I
Ossoff's
had
mouth. He
fake
never
outrage.
suggested.
I am really.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Ashley, please speak. Scott, please listen to what she has to say. We all respected when you had the platform. Ashley, go ahead.
Ossoff never suggested that Republican women only get jobs if they're sleeping with their principal. He never suggested anything to that degree. What he said was that they seem to be together quite often, which is a statement of fact. The real reality is the reason why you guys are taking this stuff so personally is because you believe there's probably some level of truth to it, especially given the principle we're talking about here. But here's the thing that really upsets me most is the level of outrage from the White House about a staffer. Okay, there's always that staffer. I've worked in 2 White Houses. There's always a staffer really close to the principal. But you don't have that same level of outrage for sailors on a ship who've been out to sea for months on end and are jumping off trying to commit suicide. I mean, that's really where you lose people, and that's where you lose me with this fake outrage, Scott. I mean, that's what's despicable. Not pointing out that the staffer spends a lot of time with the principal.
So you said every White House has someone like this. Who was Joe Biden's female that hung around all the time?
Well, some would say Anita would spend a lot of time with him.
And are you insinuating they were there for a reason?
No, but I would.
You just said it happens all the time.
No, I'm saying there's always a staffer that's close to the principal, that wants to be close to the principal, and so all that Ossoff said is they spend a lot of time together. You took it there. You made the statement about Republican women.
He took it there.
He never said that.
Here's the deal. He's been in the Senate.
Oh, Well, y'all, he couldn't let go, so he went on his radio show. He cried more MAGA orange tears.
I'm amazed that women who have worked at high levels in politics are willing to give Ossoff a pass, to countenance this attack, to rationalize it, to say that it's fine. I'm amazed that more people aren't willing to defend Natalie Harp's honor. This went on and on and on the panel last night, and I couldn't find any help. I'll be honest with you. I was there to defend the honor of someone who, look, I'll just be honest. I have a strong negative reaction when people who didn't ask for it, aren't candidates, aren't household names, aren't public figures, when their names are dragged through the mud, when they are used as punching bags. And that's what's going on here. You have a Democrat U.S. Senator who wants to be president punching down on a defenseless woman. She's defenseless. She has no microphone. She has no radio show. She doesn't have a TV show. She can't go to a rally and give a speech. She's going to work every day. And you have Ossoff punching down on her.
And bullshit-ass whining. Now, y'all know I think Jesse Waters is a damn idiot at Fox News. But even a broke clock is right twice a day. So listen to what Waters actually says.
Jesse, it wasn't a quip that just came rolling off the tongue. It was written into the speech. So it was planned.
Yeah, I mean, Natalie had bone cancer, and Trump saved her life with right to try. So she's loyal. She's like, you know, my Johnny. You know, Johnny, very loyal. Some would say I saved his life. Metaphorically speaking.
I knew you were going to go
But
there.
I mean, to suggest that Trump surrounds himself with attractive women, yeah, I think he's done that his whole life. I don't think he's very upset about the comment. Am I fazed by this comment? No. Has Trump said so much worse, so much more sleazy things against other people? Yes. Have I defended those things? Absolutely. So I'm not going to pretend I'm all hot and bothered about it. And the president doesn't even care. He's
and like, there you go. And that's why Scott Jennings has fake outrage. And let's just be clear, Rebecca, he's a supreme asshole with a horrible beard.
I mean, he's going to have to do a better job if he really wants to be press secretary. Isn't that the rumor around Washington, that he's in the top pick of the running to be the next press secretary? I mean, he's going to do a better job, because if he gets up at that podium and does that fake tears, oh my God, clutching my pearls at every single day, that's going to get old really fast. And even his allies, like you saw Jesse Waters, they're going to call him out. They're going to get tired of it. It's a tired shtick. I mean, after all, this president is a, 30-something convicted felon. He is a reported pedophile. He is a documented by the courts rapist, but all of a sudden, Mr. Grab them by the P word is noble with some of the young women around him. Okay, great.
Robert, again, Trump has attacked so many people, and he still says vicious things. He rips reporters. How he has just completely trashed black female reporters is abundantly clear. And so bottom line is, I'm like, Scott Jennings, really, kiss our collective ass.
And I saw this across the board. It wasn't just Scott. I think the email went out this morning for Republicans to play the victim card, because I saw Shermichael doing it. I saw Malik doing it on another show. It was kind of the talking point across the board. How dare John Ossoff cross this line of civility and accuse this young 35-year-old woman with almost no qualifications of doing something strange to now work at the White House. And so what if she was riding in the trunk of a car because there was no seats in there for her to go to court with Trump? And yeah, she stayed at Mar-a-Lago in the maid suite because she just wanted to be there. She also stayed in the locker room for a while because they didn't have a room for her. And no, there's nothing justifying her being literally the most powerful human being on the face of the earth because she writes foreign policy for the president. When Donald Trump threatens to end the Iranian civilization, a 35-year-old woman is writing that tweet. The information that Donald Trump receives, they call her the human printer because she prints out stories that shape Trump's worldview. He does not listen to his national security team. We know he does not read his Pentagon briefings. The things that this woman writes down or prints out for him are the things that he believes. So when he says, I believe that we are winning the war in Iran, it's because she's handing him pieces of paper saying that he's winning the war. When he says that I don't believe the poll numbers, it's because she's giving him information. And we know the following. He is a 80-something-year-old man, probably suffering from dementia, who passes out all the time. Who is this woman who apparently stays on his hip 24 hours a day, and how much power does she have on the fundamental functioning of the federal government? The entire globe deserves to understand this information, and for the Republicans to come out and clutch their pearls tells you that they understand exactly what the gig is, because we have known for years throughout history the woman next to the man in power is often the one who has the most control. And I think we might need to vet the person who sets U.S. global foreign and trade policy with a tweet.
She must got a powerful iron cast nose, Derek, to sit next to poopy pants all day.
Yeah, I mean, she has to tolerate a lot. And listen, I wish Ashley would have looked to her left and looked Scott right into his face and said, Scott, what about the 150 survivors of Jeffrey Epstein? Can we talk about them? Can we talk about the 150 survivors of Jeffrey Epstein? Can we talk about all of the women that this individual that occupies the Oval Office, that he demonized every woman journalist? Can we talk about them? Where is this fake manifested outcry there, Scott? I just find it amazing that the Republicans always trying to find a boogeyman, right? John Ossoff, look at him. He's demonizing. He's punching down. It's incredulous, Roland. And I agree with Rebecca and Robert. You know, what we need to do as Democrats, I often tell them, when we punch, let's punch to knock them out and stay there. I just came out with an op-ed just this week about Abraham Lincoln. It's uncalled for an aircraft carrier to be on station, Roland, for 9 months.
Listen.
All my 7 deployments, they've all been 6, no more than 7 months. But 9 months, 204 days straight, no landing. And so I just think we just need to call it a spade with a spade.
Man, listen,
call it out.
I ain't got no problem. I ain't got no problem with John Ossoff did. I hope he keep tweaking them. And my deal is, listen, I done told y'all before on this show, Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Damn that. If they hit me in the knees, I'm hitting them in the shin. If they hit me in the ankles, I'm going to bust their ass to the bottom of their feet. I'm sick and tired of people sitting there playing games with these people. No. This is called political war, and we must take every single one of these thugs out at the ballot box, period. Yeah. Quick break. We come back. Yeah. We're going to talk about the effort to bring together Southern black girls and women to impact this election. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games, and people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud on the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder, Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Karl. We look at the history of emancipation around the world, including right here in the United States, the so-called end of slavery. Trust me, it's a history lesson that bears no resemblance to what you learned in school. Professor Chris Manjapra, author, scholar, amazing teacher, joins us to talk about his latest book, Black Ghost of Empire, The Death of Slavery and the Failure of Emancipation. He explains why the end of slavery was no end at all, but instead a collection of laws and policies designed to preserve the status quo of racial oppression.
The real problem is that the problems that slavery invented have continued over time. And what reparations are really about is saying, how do we really transform society, right? And stop racial violence, which is so endemic.
What we need to do about it on the next installment of The Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
The Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium directs resources to organizations that support black girls and women in 13 southern states. The Joy and Justice Tour will visit communities throughout the South, uniting black girls, women, and families for a day filled with celebration and resources. Joining us now is it Chancey?
It's Chauncey.
Chauncey? Oh, your mama got real creative with that. We done threw two E's and an accent in there. Chauncey Lunday, CEO of the Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium, and LaTasha Brown, co-founder of Southern Black Girls as well as Black Voters Matter. All right, so glad to have y'all here. All right, so this Joy and Justice Tour. You're hitting 13 cities. Where are you going?
So we're hitting 9 cities.
9, okay.
We've been to 5 already. We started off in New Orleans.
Why y'all come here so late?
Because this is when they wanted us to come. So we listen to the people. We listen to the people, and so we're going to be going to Virginia.
I'm talking about you coming late to this show. See, you should have came on this show before the tour started.
I agree with you.
See, you should have came on the show, but go ahead. I just want to let you know you should have came on.
But we got more stuff, so we can come
Okay,
back
all right.
again and again and again.
Okay.
Okay, so about the Joy and Justice Tour. First, let me back up. Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium, we have a network across 13 states in the South. We've given out over $11.4 million. And so we give resources to organizations that don't get investment. And right now we're facing compounding crisis. And so not only do we want to give money, we also want to go where the people are. So we can say, we see you, want to amplify your work. So that's what this Joy and Justice Tour is. The Joy and Justice Tour is our opportunity to go across 9 cities across the South and say, we see you. We know these issues are happening in your community. We're providing resources to you. We want to let you know what we see, what black girls are saying in their girlhood. But we also want to say that we're standing in solidarity with you. And we're mobilizing and activating.
All right, so, okay. Something wrong with these microphones. So, come on, bring the mic. Let's go. Got it. All right, so, LaTasha. Can y'all hear LaTasha?
I'm here.
Can y'all hear LaTasha? Control room. You can't hear LaTasha.
Can you hear me?
Just pass her the microphone. I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know how in the hell I spent $400,000 on audio and this ain't right. Okay, all right. You talk about this with Black Voters Matter. A lot of people are fixated on social media, texting, but touching people is still important.
Absolutely. Part of this is really about organizing. And also we have to think about all the things that's going on right now, how it impacts young people. That oftentimes young folks we're looking at how it's impacting us, how it's impacting, oftentimes families are so caught up in what's happening, particularly financial, some of the economic pieces, that we forget that our children are also experiencing this. And so we see this as an organizing opportunity. We outside, we've got to connect to our communities to let them know that they're not alone. We've got to connect with young people to let them know that this is a really important moment for them, particularly those that can register to vote. We actually have a campaign that we're doing called Vote For Me Until I Can. So for young people to actually be engaged, to pay attention to what's happening, but that we're lifting up that this is a moment about power and this is a moment around us connecting to each other. It's really important in this moment that we feel connected.
I had a conversation earlier today, Chauncey, with someone, and I was explaining to them that when we talk about what's happening politically, what we have to do is we have to recognize that when we are talking, if you're talking to somebody who's 9 or 10 today, in 20 years, they're going to be 29 and 30. So the policies that are being impacted today will be impacting them. And so we have to be thinking that way when we're talking about public policy.
That's right. So as a part of the Joy and Justice Tour, LaTasha pointed to the Vote For Me Until I Can campaign. We actually have young people telling us, pick your top 3 issues if you had to tell someone what's important to you. In the previous segment, I heard people talking about we got to show up at the polls. We have to show up at the polls. So that may mean you drag your mama or your daddy or your cousin to the polls because you're concerned about your education. You're concerned about mental health. You're concerned about the environment. So this is the opportunity for young people to be engaged. They see what is happening around them. They know when they have less money in their households and they can't do things. So there are things that are happening that they can really talk to their parents about and say, I need you to go out and vote. I'm seeing what's happening. I have a son who talks about in his school, he didn't want to tell me one of his classmates' father got deported. So that's not only affecting that family, which that is tragic, but then these students are learning this. They are learning this and they're seeing this, they're experiencing it in school. So even though we think about young people as the future, they are now. Things are happening to them now that they want to make sure we know about, and that we're showing up at the polls and we're holding our politicians accountable for.
When we look at you got candidates that are running. And so when you're going around on these tours, you're providing resources, you're providing information. But I always say we got to connect the dots. Because a lot of folk really don't understand how politics works. And we have to walk them through these things.
Absolutely. But part of, I think, what's important is for us to understand that we got community infrastructure. Right now, you got to have the community activated. We're working with institutions like colleges, we're working with churches, we're working with community centers, we're also working with elected officials.
Pass her, y'all.
It's a good day to be alive and be on the Roland Martin show.
Y'all need to pray, because I'm about to start cussing.
We're gonna have
Go
a good day.
ahead.
This is joy and justice. We came to bring joy and justice.
It's joy and justice, but it's about to be some justice, all right. And I'm about to be the damn judge and the prosecutor.
So the joy and the justice, what we're seeing is part of what we have to understand in this moment is that we've got to create community. That the best infrastructure that's going to support us is being in community with each other. That part of what's happening is to make us feel isolated, to make us feel alone, for us not to leverage our power. So we're working with elected officials. We're working with people.
Okay, hold on one second. Not his microphone. Okay. I'm going to go to a break. And audio, y'all going to fix this damn problem in 120 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games. People who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand, so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things entrepreneurship. Whether you want to jump right in, take a leap of faith, or you've just been thinking about it for a while, we're having a one-on-one candid conversation with Dr. Tierney, our level up coach and YouTuber of the amazing Hey Sugar. So let's talk about entrepreneurship.
Before you jump out here, know that it is some work that goes into it. And not necessarily the work in the business itself, but some inner work.
That's this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie on Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Black life, Black death, in a country that was never built for us.
We are talking about 18-year-old Nolan Wells, his family's search for answers, and the way that our own trauma is showing up in how we're reacting to the news.
Where was Nolan in the 90 minutes between when you're claiming you last saw him and when you actually left the island? Because 90 minutes is a lot of time. So where was he?
Tune in on The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on in there with the audio, so we're just going to use my microphone. So, Chauncey, with your Parisian name, again, for folk who didn't hear because the damn mic kept breaking up, explain the Joy and Justice Tour.
I get a chance to do it again, and we're going to say no microphone formed against us shall prosper. But my name is Chauncey Lundy. The Joy and Justice Tour, what I was saying is this is our opportunity to go out into community to say we see you. Black women and girls are facing compounding crises across the South. It is no coincidence that places that have bad policies have bad outcomes in reproductive health, maternal health, environmental justice, economic insecurity. And through this Joy and Justice Tour, it's our opportunity to go across 9 cities across the South and say, we see you, amplify the work that you're doing in community, and stand in solidarity with you. So we're providing resources. We're letting people know that we're out here. We have a network of over 1,000 organizations of Black women who are anchoring their communities through their work. And our Joy and Justice Tour really expounds upon that.
Latasha, talk about the importance of touching people.
You know, part of our power, we have to understand our power is actually collective power. And you have to touch folks. I know people think that, you know, the social media, if you're on social media, if you are, you see your folks, you give them a flyer, all of those things, they help. But there's nothing that replaces, like what I say, hand-to-hand touching. Like we need to be able to connect to our people for us to see them, for them to feel our spirit, to know that they are not alone. That part of our power will be from us collectively leveraging that power. And we're doing that on college campuses, on community centers, and local communities. Oftentimes folks will say, well, what girls are doing or what kids are doing, those young folk ain't doing nothing. That's not true. Matter of fact, this tour is partly envisioned and been staffed by young people. Young people are visioning of that. We've got to actually put them in the place, in the position to do the work. This is why we are doing the Vote For Me Until I Can campaign.
Question for the panel, Rebecca.
Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Fair Election Center will see you all in, I think, North Carolina during that week, during that stop. I think we're going to be at North Carolina A&T. So as you're talking about bringing young people into this thing, what specifically are you hearing young people say?
Well, what I hear people say the most is that they're concerned about mental health, their mental health. I also hear, particularly as we talk to college students, and that stop will be in Charlotte, North Carolina on September 27th. What I hear people say specifically is they're concerned about when they graduate, will they have a job? Those are some of the things. People are concerned about all of these laws and these policies that are quickly changing within their community, and they're not being able to keep up, and they're seeing what's happening around them. So people are concerned about their physical health, access to resources within their community, the cost of housing. Will they ever be able to afford a house? I know people who want to buy a house and they can't. The interest rates are up. Being able to save for it, prices are up. So we're concerned about these same things within our community. As we talk to young people, as we talk to middle-aged people, some of the concerns that we share are the same.
Robert?
So I've spent more time, and hey, Latasha, how you doing? I'll see you out there in the streets as well this fall. But I've talked to more young people and Gen Zs recently, and they seem to be the most miserable generation I've ever been around. They're pessimistic. They've been dealing with Trump the entirety of their lives. And you can only imagine what the mental toll of that takes on you. They barely remember Obama. They remember him as almost a pop culture figure, but don't remember kind of the hope and change messaging. What can we do to kind of motivate and explain and get these young folks to realize there is hope going forward? Because Gen Z is a very doom-filled generation. I think it's going to be our job to break them out of it.
Well, that's part of, you need to come see us. You need to come to the Joy and Justice Tour, because I promise you, when you get there, you will see girls that are literally leading from the space of joy, that are talking about hope, that see themselves as futurists. Like, part of what we have to do, my grandmother used to always say, is that we actually got to speak life into folks. That part of what we've got to do is we got to believe in our children. We've got to believe in their power and their gifts. And so you got to create the opportunity for them to generate that. And that's what we've been doing. We've been creating the opportunity for them to be leaders. We have an ambassador program, so the young women are actually leading. So if you need some young folk that you need to listen to or to see, that will make you understand that that whole generation is not about doom and gloom, but they really are about hope, but they are about accountability. They are asking the hard questions that we should all be asking. What I call it, the Janet Jackson principle? What have you done for me lately? And that's the question that we've been asking that question and really been consistent on it, we would be in a different situation. So I will say that if you want to get some joy, if you want to see some young people who are doing some amazing things, we've had 1,000 young folks who created projects rooted in joy, projects that went across the scale that Chauncey can actually talk about. I do want you to lift up some of the projects that we funded that young people have been leading. So don't believe the hype. Just like folks say, don't believe the hype that just the young people are just about doom and gloom. There are many that are really trying to shape and be visionaries for the next phase of our future.
As Southern Black girls, one of the economic opportunities that we have is our Black Girl Joy Challenge, where we put micro grants directly in the hands of young women between the ages of 13 and 24 and say, how can you spread joy to at least 10 of your friends and family and community? And what we have seen from that has been Black excellence. It's been extraordinary. We have girls who are working to end period poverty. We have girls who are starting their own robotics clubs. We have young women, even in Virginia, we have a young lady who made mental health kits that she's passing out of high schools, and we're actually going to give some to students at Virginia State tomorrow. So girls, we recently had a young lady who just had a Daddy Reads with Daughter event in Louisville. So we have girls who are coming up with the solutions to what they see as the problems in their community. And I want to uplift Virginia specifically. We'll be in Richmond at the Virginia Capitol, and I want to say thank you to Governor Spanberger for opening that opportunity. They're declaring it Southern Black Girls Day at the Virginia Capitol on Friday, August 21st. And what Virginia holds it is this place that was once the capital of the Confederacy now has a record number of Black women in power, such as Secretary of the Commonwealth, Candy Munden King, Secretary of Administration, Tracy Deja, and the Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Sasha J. Moon. So I just want to say, uplift what's happening in Virginia, and that representation matters. It matters for the young women to see that this is something they can be, and that the future is not something next, it's something that's now for them.
Derek. Listen, I appreciate the Joy and Justice tour as a father of 4 daughters and 3 sons. My 2-part question is this. After you complete your 13-city tour, how do you sustain those seeds that you planted at those 13 cities? And then part 2, it seemed like you all have some policy focus conversations. Are those policies focused specifically on young Black, girls and young ladies? And then last but not least, I noticed you all not coming to the Mecca. That's the ATL.
We're always in Atlanta. Always in Atlanta.
It ain't the damn Mecca.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There are more Black people in New York City than is in Atlanta.
That ain't got nothing to do. They ain't running stuff like we running stuff.
We're the largest Black caucus.
Go ahead and answer his question.
We're the largest Black caucus.
So how we sustain that is we activate young women. So you see us on this tour, we give you opportunities. We're having our Black Girl Joy Challenges opening up next week, so they'll have an opportunity to apply for that. We have our Youth Ambassador Program. We usually have conferences, and our conferences are amazing. So we have our Black Girls Dream Conference. So people, there's a craving for Southern Black girls. People say, do y'all have chapters? We say no, but what you can do is be a part of an organization that's in your community, and they are part of our network, and we make sure that they have resources and that there are opportunities for them to participate, and we convene together. So we're just like a foundation. We're spreading resources, but we have positive programming as well. And the second thing you talked about was the policy emphasis, and I'll let Latasha take that.
You know, people always talk about Black women. We talk about how Black women leadership, Black women just don't pop out of the sky one day. Like Black women actually at some point were Black girls. And so we actually, from this space, we're having them and convening them together to talk about what are the policy things that they're concerned about. They actually go to the Capitol. In many places, they'll go to their local Capitol, their local city council. We even have an event that we do where we bring people on the Hill so that they can actually talk to lawmakers specifically about the things they care about. When we think about the Southern Black girls, let's take the state of Mississippi. 99% of the children in public schools in the state of Mississippi are on free or reduced lunch. In Georgia, where we talk about the Mecca of Atlanta, right, over 60% of the kids are on free and reduced lunch. But yet we have policy right now that is literally cutting. We have the state of Georgia that turned down a summer opportunity. There's resources set aside in the state of Georgia that would fund in the summer, would fund a food program that the governor turned down. So these kids are actually feeling the brunt of it. They're not like to the side. They're feeling this policy change that is happening in this country, and we're engaging them in the conversation so that they understand what's happening now. They're using their skills, their education, their organizing skills to organize around and even push adults on that. But in addition to that, it's also a training ground where we see young people, girls will one day be women. We want them at each stage of their development to understand that they matter and we care about them. Even a duck has enough sense to take care of its ducklings. We're going to take care of our girls because that's what Black women do.
All right, then. So, Richmond Friday.
Yes. In Charleston, West Virginia on Saturday.
All right, cool. Get my microphone back. All right, then. Chauncey. All right, Chauncey. Appreciate it. First of all, what's the website we should go to?
www.southernblackgirls.org. You can follow us on all social media at Southern Black Girls.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Coming up next, Jeff Johnson talks about his new show here on the Black Star Network, No Translation. Back in a moment. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games. People who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All All right, y'all been seeing the promos for a couple of weeks. The new show, weekly show here on the Black Star Network, No Translation, hosted by Jeff Johnson. He joins me right now. Jeff, glad to have you here, 06. Why'd you want to do this show?
Listen, Ro, you know I've been doing this work a long time, from being a national youth director of the NAACP to working on federal campaigns. But in the last cycle, there was so much conversation about what Black men did and didn't do, but not a lot of conversation about Black men. And I understood the concern. But when we looked at the numbers in which we turned out, it wasn't that we didn't turn out. But there was a lot of misinformation. There was a lot of disconnect. And in many cases, we weren't polled. So it was never an issue for me of how do we make excuses for Black men who don't vote. I don't do that. But how do we understand Black men who didn't turn out? I have no understanding for Black men that voted for Trump. But I do want to understand why those Negroes did. And so before we can start talking about how Black men vote in 2026 and on in 2028, I want to talk about how Black men live and how that connects to what their political leanings are, what they're believing, what they're being misled by, but in some cases, the real truth behind what's driving their decision to turn out and vote.
And not only that, listen, I keep trying to explain to people, if you look at the data, the reality is Black men and Black women were separating. Even the 2012 election of Obama, there was a 9-point gap. There were Black men who were not satisfied with the first 4 years of President Barack Obama's term. Then you go to 2016, you see it widen. And there were a lot of sisters who were saying, oh, it's misogyny. I kept saying, no, a lot of it's not misogyny. I said, yes, that is the case for some men, some white men, some Black men, some Hispanic men, some Asian men. I said, but no, there are real issues here. And then it expanded in 2020, then expanded in 2024. And I was saying 14 years ago, Democrats, if y'all don't pay attention, you're going to have yourself a real problem. So when people were talking about 17, 19% of Black men supporting Trump, I'm like, that's because you were not listening and paying attention to what brothers were saying.
Yeah, there's also the reality, Ro, that Black men, for better or worse, are not as communal as Black women. And brothers in particular their entire being is normally connected to their vocation and their money. And somewhere there was this myth that you can keep more of your money when you vote Republican. And I've heard this for years. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was on the set of Rap City listening to rappers tell me, you know, I'm Republican, Jeff, because I can keep more of my money. And we could debate that, but part of that is navigating false narratives, navigating misinformation. And in some cases, Ro, when they don't trust either one, they rather vote for the person that lets them keep more of what they think they get so they can do it themselves. There's so much misinformation we got to deal with. And I think because men are often isolated, they do things on their own. They don't do things as connected to community as women do. There are just differences there that we have to understand as opposed to judge them.
It's so interesting because I had brothers in the chat going, well, where's the Joy and Justice tour for brothers? And I'm sitting here going, organize it. I remember when the sisters, when they started their calls every Sunday, and the goal was to get the vice president nomination for Kamala Harris, that after Biden named her, they kept going, win with Black women. And all these brothers were sitting there saying, man, we need to call it. And I was like, well, why don't y'all call it? And I said, and then nobody was moving. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, I see what's going on. Maybe the problem is because typically when it comes to organizing, it's the Black women who are doing the grunt work. And brothers got offended, but I'm like, why y'all getting offended? It's true.
And it's historically been true. I think there's another piece, Ro, that I'm having a lot of debates with across our community, and that is this notion of who Black men in particular, but who Black people are on this spectrum of liberal to conservative. And I'm not talking about right-wing nut jobs or MAGA folks, but when you go outside of the coast, a lot of our communities are more conservative than they are liberal. And the Democratic Party has done an awful job in messaging to moderates and conservatives that they could actually get on their side if they focus more on the America they're trying to create than beating Trump. And I think even when you're looking at what we're seeing with DSA, I'm not saying that there's a over index of Black folks, especially Black men, going DSA. I think what you're seeing with DSA is the ability to communicate a vision.
Yep.
That I think not just Black men, but I think independent voters in particular and some moderate conservative voters are looking for somebody to give them a vision that's different than what they've heard from the Democratic Party for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I get all of these folks. They yell, "Oh, you're a shield for the Democratic Party." I'm like, no, fool. I ain't never self-identified as a Republican or Democrat. I don't call myself an independent. I said I'm a Black man who votes. But I also look at parties as delivery systems. And when I go, okay, this party and this party, which one is more likely to deliver on the things that I care about? It damn sure ain't Donald Trump, MAGA, and Republicans.
Absolutely not. But I also think, Roland, I would love for us to. I don't know about you. I've spent so much time seeing us debate each other with other people's talking points.
Yeah.
When very little gets delivered for us.
Yeah.
And my whole part of this show is about how can we come to the table recognizing we have shared destiny, whether you're a liberal, whether you're a conservative, whether you're DSA, whether you're, right, whatever you are, if you at least love Black people and at your core, you care about what happens to us in our communities, why don't we come together as Black men who may disagree, as opposed to coming to the table first as a Democrat, as a Republican, as a DSA, as a whatever you are. Because so often these conversations are about debating and fighting for the best slave master versus recognizing, wait a minute, while I may vote this way, or while I may work over here, or while I may serve over here, I care about the Black community first. Mm-hmm. And if we could have some of those conversations before we dive into the ideological positioning of whose camp we're in, we might be able to create greater coalition, especially amongst Black men. So that's I don't know if we can get there.
One of the other. Go ahead.
No, that's.
Well, one of the other things that I really have been fixated on, because we talk about the communal part, and panel, get ready, I'm going to you for next questions. Part of the communal part is that what comes out of communal is organization, infrastructure, planning. What I keep saying to brothers, you're not going to be able to achieve any of the things that you claim you want if you are isolated in a silo and operating by yourself. There's nothing that we've ever achieved as Black people that was achieved solo. Nothing. It was through organization. It was through movements. I've been challenging. We were there in March for the Alpha Regional Convention, challenging fraternities, challenging Prince Hall Mason, challenging other men's groups to say, hey, you're going to have to go outside of your groups and really begin to touch people and not just be so focused on your inward business.
No, I agree with you. I mean, you have said forever, is this a moment or a movement? And I think that one of the biggest challenges, especially as it relates to politics, is we are voter focused versus civic participation focused. And we really need to start developing, teaching, and building around a culture of civic participation, which means voting is just one piece of that. When people are more engaged in showing up at a city council meeting or a school board meeting or understanding what's happening at the state legislature, on raising money and creating funds, in holding candidates accountable, and more importantly, building candidates, we're going to see a different kind of political engagement, because we're not starting and stopping with an election based on somebody else's money that they do or don't give us. And that's a whole nother conversation that we're going to have, because we're already on the other side of these the midterm leading into the general, where as soon as we start getting to the general and more money gets spent, we still don't see it spent with us.
Yeah.
And so I'm amazed at how I'm watching races where folks need Black folks in urban communities to win statewide races. And they're still trying to figure out, do we want to talk to Black folks? And what ends up happening is we treat Black folks like the playoffs in baseball. We wait till October.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, questions from the panel. Derek, you first.
Yeah, Jeff, good to see you, Frat, always.
Yes, sir.
Can we highlight this engagement piece? Because during Reconstruction era, it's been said that Black men, because Black women couldn't vote, but Black men, they were engaged in policy. They were voting at anywhere upwards of 85 to 90% during Reconstruction era. I'm not saying we can try to get back to that space because the environment has changed over the century. But can we talk more about this engagement piece? Because it seemed like both Republican and Democratic Party seemed like they want to bring us to the dance in October. What can we do as a legislator? I'm right here in Atlanta. What can we do to entice this engagement? I think we have to barbershops. I've been to barbershops. I've been to churches. And I'm having these conversations, but it seemed like it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I just don't know if the motivation is getting people to support party. And that at some point we have to vote, right? And so we're voting for somebody in one party or another, but I don't think the engagement is about party. Because ultimately what we're doing over and over again is we're going to barbershops, we're going to churches, and we're regurgitating somebody else's talking points. And when we start talking normally from our own vantage point, we're told to stop because it's not on par with what the party's talking points are. And that's not everywhere. So I don't want to paint too broad a brush. And in some cases, it's more about candidate than it is party. But I think if we're going to engage in a way that we're talking about seeing upwards of above 70% turnout, especially in midterm and local elections, which almost doesn't happen for any demographic, the way we're going to have to do that is by carrying our own agenda. And that agenda has to be really clear. And if we are going to support people, we have to make deals before we vote instead of promissory notes that never get delivered on.
Robert.
So piggybacking on that, one of the issues I've found the last few election cycles is Black men's bodies and votes are very welcomed and coveted, but our opinions, not so much. We very much become persona non grata when we start talking about the things that we actually want and we actually need. I've been yelled out of rooms and called misogynistic and sexist because I said my listeners on radio have said they want a political candidate to address child support. That is an actual issue among many Black men. They want someone to address paternity courts where they feel like they're walking in at a disadvantage. If one get cussed out by a room full of Democratic women, bring that up. How can we be part of the conversation where it's not simply them saying, look, we are appealing to you in this barbershop for you to accept not a damn thing again. Don't you want to? And that's why we're not seeing these levels of enthusiasm when you're trying to repackage the same nothing and feed it back to the same folks.
Yeah. And I think that's why this can't be an election time only event. I mean, brothers are dealing with, family court is a problem. And it's a problem for anybody that actually wants healthy families, not just men. And so that shouldn't be an issue that only comes up during an election. I mean, I think that there are brothers that are forming organizations where they're trying to get men to have better legal advice. I think that there are organizations that are trying to create better counseling mechanisms so that whether you're going through a divorce or whether you're just going through a paternity battle, that co-parenting and the truth of co-parenting is nobody wins if we're fighting. Those aren't the kind of things that I think get solved during election time. Those are the things that are determined, are they going to be on part of the platform or not? And so I just think that we need to support, I think to Roland's earlier point, the mobilization around single issue mobilization that is in concert with our sisters in a way that doesn't have to be, we're just on TV or on digital platforms debating women that don't get it, because there are enough sisters who do. And why are we not engaging in building with them infrastructure, mobilization, and funding around those issues where when it comes time for elections and people to start determining what's going to be on their campaign, they're always determining that based on issues that have momentum, not based on people that are coming to the table normally passionate about something, but can't point to where there's movement. As men, we need to be way more active in the 365 day a year mobilization around a whole ton of issues, so that we can show mobilization, we can show fundraising, we can show momentum. And then when we start negotiating with folks on tickets, the conversation becomes different. But we also shouldn't wait for them to make it their issue. We've got to do a better job of elevating some of those things ourselves.
Rebecca.
The majority of Black men aren't in a fraternity or attend church every week or are Prince Hall Masons or attended college or are white collar or are making over $100,000 a year. The reason why I highlight this, how will you use your platform to platform those types of Black men? Because over and over, I tend to see the aforementioned Black men being platformed and not the average Black man being platformed.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think even using the word average is dangerous. There is a mosaic of brothers in our community, and that goes across socioeconomic, educational, vocational, identity, and the like. And so my goal is in this show is, one, how do we raise the complexity of Black men, so that we don't fall into these normative kind of images of what it means to be on these kind of shows. And so I'm fully with you. And the way we do that is by reaching the regular brothers. I had a conversation with my team today, and even in talking about what's the litmus for how we identify guests. And I'm like, listen, I don't care if you have any followers. I don't care what your job is. I don't care where you live. Are you a Black man that is willing to, one, talk from your perspective and not somebody else's talking points? Two, are you willing to share a level of transparency about what you need, what you're afraid of, what you're passionate about, what brings you joy? What is the motivating factor that leads you to the polls? And then three, are you willing to speak from a place that is about a level of shared destiny? I don't want brothers coming on the show creating enemies with their brothers because they think differently about a single issue. So I love the question, because I don't even know what average brother means. What I know is that there is a spectrum of Black man, and I want to make sure that we show as many images of what it means to be a Black man as possible.
But here's the thing, Jeff, and I say this all the time. Listen, 60% of our audience are Black men. 60%. When you say average, they're average. How do I know? I travel. And I know who brothers who stop me in airports, convenience stores, driving on the street, honking their horn, places. They are not in the categories Rebecca mentioned. And so I think one of the things that I think we have to do is we got to give Black men a lot more credit than they actually get. I can tell you, I've met my frat brother, Todd Brown. His son said to me, hey, man, his son told him, I didn't know you knew Roland Martin. He said, man, my barber keeps his show on in the shop all the time. I was just at NABJ, and a couple people stopped me, and I did videos for their barbers and others. And so I think the problem, Jeff, is that we have not, this is why I'm talking about Black-owned media. If you do not build the shows and the platforms that they can then come watch, they're not going to get the information. And so that's just the reality. Listen, the true story. I'm walking in MGM National Harbor, and a brother, yo, Roland Martin, I fucks with you. And I was like, okay, bro, you screaming real loud, bro. You're real loud. And then he was like, no, you could ask my girl. Jeff, then he goes, hey, bro, anybody fucks with you, I got you. And I was like, all right, bro, I appreciate that. He goes,
those are literally the best compliments you can ever.
But here's what's crazy, Jeff. So he goes, oh, you think I'm joking? So he reaches down. I'm like, he is not about to pull a gun out. But he pulls his shirt up, and all I see is scar tissue from here down to his navel. He was saying, I've been shot. I had my chest cracked. And he went, anybody fucks with you, I got you. I'm coming from the dentist, and this brother with a white beater, some jeans sagging, a pick in his head, gold tooth. He was like, yo, ain't you that news dude? He's like, say, bruh, they got mad respect for you on the yard. He wasn't talking about Howard University yard.
Right.
He was talking about the prison. Yeah. And so I believe the way you reach black men is if you have conversations with black men like you have with everybody else, but you have to create the platform where they can say, you know what, I'm going to listen to that brother. I'm going to go watch him and listen to him.
Yeah. And that's literally been my whole life.
Yep.
I mean, the work that I've done has always been that. And so you're right. At the end of the day, the more men's voices we lift, the more complexity of men we show, the more men know they can trust us. And that's the bottom line. I mean, whether you are on television or whether you are an elected official, whether you are a pastor, whether you're a business owner, we're very clear about who we trust and who we don't. And the people we trust are the people who consistently show up for us. And so the goal of this show is to do that, is to show up for black men in a way that I don't want to judge you for what you feel or what you believe. If your beliefs are different.
Hold on. Guys, can y'all tell me what happened? Hold on, Jeff. Hold on, Jeff. Hold on. Hold on, Jeff. Jeff, hold on. Guys, can y'all tell me what's going on? I can't even hear control room. Power. Like, all right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. All right, guys, so we lost audio there. I have no idea what the hell is going on. We got it back. Jeff, you were making your final comment.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, listen, this show is for black men. And it's for black men who care about the black community, and thus it's for our community. And what I want to lift more than anything else, Ro, is that I'm so tired of people pitting us against each other because we disagree. Now, if you on some MAGA anti-racist stuff, you ain't got no place here. But if you're a conservative and you have a different belief and pathway, we could talk about what that means, because I still believe there's an opportunity for shared destiny even when we disagree. And I want to create a format and a place and a platform where we can disagree and still believe in shared destiny. I think black men need that. I think we as a community need that. And it doesn't mean we won't hold people accountable. But it does mean there's a different way we can do that than how I see it happen too often in our content.
When's the first show?
Next Thursday, brother. Next Thursday.
All right, Jeff Johnson. I appreciate it, my brother. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man.
All right, folks, that is it for us. Let me thank Rebecca, Robert, and Derek for being on today's show. Certainly appreciate y'all. Thank you so very much. Folks, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. It goes to support this show, Jeff's show, Ebony's show, Jackie's show, Greg's show, Bria and Jamira, Roland's book club, all that. And again, there's some other shows we want love to launch, but you can't do it without resources. And so that all matters. And so please, you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's also for credit cards. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. PayPal, first of all, download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. Get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com to get our shirts, get all these black products that we have. Go to our marketplace segment, marketplace site on shopblackstarnetwork.com to support these black-owned businesses. And so you can get it all there. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!